Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L, and now let's talk some My Hero Academia, chapter 173. Hey, okay, cool, 173, here we go. Slice of life at its finest, woo! Anyway, to some level, there's not really much to talk about for the chapter because it's kind of just like you get what you see. It's maybe only like, well, you know, if we were to go into this, it'd pretty much be me talking about how funny this chapter was and pointing out the little bits that I found extremely funny and just talking like, oh yeah, that was funny. But you know, that's kind of not that important after a point. I mean, it's an overall pleasant chapter. The only point that I could really think of to really chat about maybe is the story beats, you know, what we're getting set up here, because the chapter does have a relatively strong story beat when it comes to Netzu. So when you come to talk about that point, we can talk, well, given that this exists, given that this information was given to us, given that we know that there's limited time to tell the story, we could assume that this plot point is going to be important for the future. Especially with when you have the Commissioner General, the big boss, the big man, pretty much giving us all the worst flags. Like, you're practically handing over our jewels to the villains. It's like, whoa man, this escalated real quick. How is having a cultural festival handing over jewels to the villain? And like, you know, to some degree, it's funny because from what I understand, UA is going to be extra guarded during the cultural festival. On a regular day, they're, I guess, having normal operations. Like, having school when there's villains actively looking for the blood of your students in general, I think is a pretty nasty idea. If the villains were gonna break in, they were gonna break in. Like, I find the logic is a little bit strange. I don't fully understand what's the distinction between the two events, other than all the kids are gonna be outside buildings at this point. But like, if you consider like a regular day, the kids are all locked inside the building. If a villain really wanted to screw them up, they could just go there and bomb the whole place. I don't know. You know, thinking of it logically, I understand. I could understand what the guy's saying. Like, hey, you're making a big event of this. You're making like a big target for people to come attack. But at the same time, it's the villains could attack any other day. That's where I'm kind of thinking about this. That said, it all depends on like the perspective you like view this guy's argument in. If you're looking at it like you're pretty much taunting the villains, it's like, all right, that's pretty reasonable. The villain alliance in particular, they like going after the idea of things. They like striking when it's gonna make the biggest impact. Like, you have them striking at the summer camp. Actually, all things considered, the summer camp was a way sketchier event because there were less heroes on compound. With this one, it's like all the heroes are there and they're in the middle of the city. If something goes wrong, you have all the first responders showing up. Anyway, I found that part interesting because that is the most important beat that tells us what we're kind of expecting for the story in the future. So, you know, their whole conversation and also Netzu bowing his head, like all those moments are pretty strong. And you know, like, I looked at what Midnight was saying, how she dispatched Hound Dog, and it's like, Midnight, you haven't been dispatching him before. Every day you have class with these kids, you're not putting him out in the woods so he makes sure no one's getting in there. Like, come on guys, you gotta step up your security. It's all I can think. Like, if that's the big difference between then and now, you have Hound Dog in the thing, it's the question of like, why do you just have him out there in the beginning whenever he's free? But you know, jokes aside, I find it interesting. I find it funny. I do believe that a good part of it is just the kids are out in the open, and that's tipping the scale so much because, man, if the villains aren't gonna get in on any other day, it's gonna be today when they get in. It's just I find it funny. Anyway, that's pretty much like the biggest point here, other than to talk about the funny bits. So let's talk about the funny bits. You know what, we'll go with Mei first because I just flipped to her page. So with Hatsube Mei, the only funny bit that I want to really add in there is that she hasn't taken a bath, and so I can only imagine how she smells. And you know, that's not no offense. It's just, you know, when I've worked with grease monkeys before. Is that an okay term to call them? Mechanics. Is that an okay term to call them? I don't know. I don't know if that's offensive. Anyway, mechanics. Yeah, you know, there's a very unique smell that pops up on mechanics after they've been covered in oil and just been working and just sweating in general, especially if you're in a really hot climate. Oh man, not well. Actually, the smell's kind of like you get used to it after all. But you know, that's all I could flash back to when I hear May talking about, nah, she didn't take a bath because it's a waste of time. I'm just thinking, all right, yeah. I understand that lifestyle. Like, man, my grandpa's a mechanic. Sometimes he goes without bathing for like 3 days. It's a different time, man. Guys, he's from a different world. Anyway, moving on. One thing that I really did enjoy about this chapter, now that we're talking about May, is that we got to see a lot of characters, and we got so many character introductions. Actually, that's another great point to talk about. But let's just go through the characters first. We saw Shinzo for a little bit. Very happy about that. We got a bit with Nejiri, which I really didn't think we were gonna get, and she's gonna be competing in a little beauty contest or whatever. The only interesting thing, or the only thing I want to point out, aside from Izuku showing us how socially inept he is, with him talking about her proportions in a staggering voice in front of a little child, you know, the thing I found funny here is that Judy's saying that she's definitely going to win this year, especially because it's her last year. And you know, not gonna lie, that line right there, kind of like, oh, I don't know, that's kind of sketchy. Like, why are you saying that out loud? Are you going to get impaired during this? I hope not. I hope that this stays a just funny arc and we don't go into anything bad. But yeah, when I hear that kind of line of thought, it's like, Najiri, like the other girl, Dazzling Zaki or whatever else, like, if your right to win is based on it being your last year, a lot of people have a right to win. But no, that's just them preparing for their side of the things. On the Class 1B side, I found it very funny what they're doing, and I found it very funny that Monoma got knocked out with a plank, with a 2x4. That was hilarious. Like, the poor boy must have so many head injuries. So aside from that, we have just everyone at the beginning getting along with Eri and just surrounding the little girl when she shows up. And we have a very, very strange thing from Medio with the peaches ripe, but whatever. Yeah, so those are like just the big broad strokes that I really found, that I really enjoyed. Talking about character introductions now. This chapter kind of really gave us a lot. I mean, like, we pretty much name dropped a lot of people. Well, yeah, name dropping. That's pretty much what happened. We just went and saw some faces, and it's just, you know, this is fleshing out UA's world. And to some degree, I do wonder, you know, is there going to be payoff? Ideally, when you have all these characters, like you have the Dazzling Zaki, I want these characters all get some screen time. But screen time is such a highly priced commodity in My Hero Academia that it's just kind of a shame. I kind of do wish I knew more about the support course. I kind of do wish that I knew more about the business guys, like the third year ones that are just talking to Medio at the beginning. I wish I knew more about these people. So, you know, we're going through it, and it just kind of sucks. It just kind of sucks that we're not really getting to know much of these characters, even though they're right there. It's just one of those little things. Although when you actually consider it, we only got one solid introduction with Zaki, and then I guess we got another little mini introduction when it came to Nejiri's friend. Overall, you know, I do wonder if this, no, it's not the sports festival, if the cultural festival is gonna have more people playing a part into it. I do wonder if we're gonna keep getting more little introductions into people, and where we could probably spin off from here. You know, we're at a point where we have the Vigilante spin-off manga, and we have also Smash. If a lot of these little side characters, if they could pop up to the other series, or we just have a little, like a UA slice of life series, I'd be so happy. Like, My Hero Academia does, well, it's pretty distinct in that it already has spin-offs that are successful. So I would love to see more spin-offs from these characters, because it's a pretty cool thing. Anywho, last kind of closing notes. The only thing I would want to say is that I hope when we get into this, I can see Class 1B's play. The Romeo, Juliet, and Prisoner of Azkaban, The Return of Kings. Like, who wouldn't want to see that? But yeah, let's call it there. Those are pretty much my thoughts for the chapter. I liked it. It was fun. But guys, let me know what you thought down below. And if I missed any big detail that you want to point out in the comments, let me know. Oh wait, how could I forget? Izuku got fired. That was hilarious. I imagine the problem is that he can't dance, and you know, there's that bit of a sadness because he just told Eri to like watch out for him because he's gonna be amazing. But yeah, no, that was funny, and Ashido dressing up the part, that was also hilarious. Yeah, I wonder if Izuku's gonna pull, but my child's gonna come to see me a bit. I think that'd be funny. Anyway, yeah, ending it there. Guys, till next time. Hope you have a great day.